Hidden patterns in altcoin markets. Are you guys able to actually spot these hidden patterns? If you guys have been following my channel, you guys know the one pattern I am talking about. That's not only limited to altcoins, but many other markets outside of crypto. I am talking about the falling wedge, and we're going to be taking a look into some altcoins and spotting some of these patterns and why I am a lot more inclined to trade these patterns rather than chasing pumping green candles on the day of, right? So we're going to be talking about a few altcoins later in this video, usually after the 10-minute mark. I highly don't recommend that you guys skip through because I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of what Bitcoin is doing, because it is still the driver of this market. Either you like it or not, but it is, right? If Bitcoin has more room to go in this bull cycle, which I very much think that it does, then that's gonna be good for the altcoins, because that means the altcoins will have room to run. If Bitcoin dumps below 110k here, which we're still, we're not too far away, that's gonna be very bad for the altcoins, right? That basically tells me that this bull cycle could be discontinued, right? So very important to be paying attention to Bitcoin right now. We're also going to be taking a look into some major crypto news that I think could affect the markets. And let's go ahead and get into some news first before diving into the charts. All right, this here is by News BTC. Bitcoin charting a recovery, bullish base forms after 115k drop. Yeah, I mean, I think the fact is we really don't have that much data in this range from about 112k to 120 something k, 123. Because this was a new breakout, right? I still think there is a lot more room for Bitcoin to go based on that monthly RSI reading. Comparing to previous bull cycles, we're nowhere near a FOMO top. And if we actually take a look into Ethereum Total 3, I mean, this bull cycle has not even started, right? It's still trying to work its way back above to previous all-time highs from back in 2021. So I still think this bull cycle is still very much on the table. I am long on Bitcoin, quite a bit of the altcoins here. So my opinion, of course, is bullish. I'll tell you guys when to change my opinion, but of course, they're just my personal opinions and not financial advice. So do your own research. But yeah, I do think that there is a bullish pattern here, which is the falling wedge pattern on Bitcoin. I'll point that out to you guys in just a second. Next piece here is going to be by the block. Strategy leads July frenzy as institutional Bitcoin holdings hit $428 billion. Survey sees S&P 500 crypto treasury adoption continuing. Yeah, so I think this is another reason why I think this bull cycle is still very much on, because these institutions and as well as corporations and of course strategy, they're still holding Bitcoin. I mean, in addition to other indicators that I rely on, I mean, you guys can see on these headlines that they're still holding Bitcoin and not dumping, as I would expect, um, probably more of these big players to do at the peak of the bull cycle. Um, so yeah, I mean that's another reason why I think the bull cycle is still on. Next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin supply to shock. Bitcoin supply shock to uncork. Bitcoin price as OTC desks run dry. It sounds like, well, there's a supply shock and it's running low on Bitcoin right now. So I think that could drive Bitcoin price to the new highs here. I had a cup and handle pattern that formed back in on the weekly time frame. We have just broken out of that. We're not even far from that breakout points at about 110k. So that target is about 145K there. So quite a bit of room for Bitcoin to run here. And this could coincide with the supply shock. Next is by Bitcoin News BTC's $255 Solana. Supply shock fuels bullish forecast. Without getting too much into detail of this piece of news here, I mean, I think $255 Solana is definitely in the cards. Very, very possible because, I mean, Solana is not even far from that right now. And like I said, I think we still have a lot of room in this bull cycle to go. So, yeah, that's definitely possible. All right, let me go ahead and back up some of my thoughts here with what's going on in the charts. So daily time frame for Bitcoin, very important to be paying attention to right now because this is still a falling wedge pattern, which is one of those quote unquote secret patterns I think you guys should be paying attention to when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to altcoins, because it's probably the most common pattern and it's very simple and effective because it tells you usually after an extensive downtrend on that time frame, it's likely to break out to the upside. Of course, got to consider the downside as well because I've seen falling wedges break down. That is just part of the game. But what I'm seeing here is a falling wedge pattern on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. If it breaks out of this pattern, price target would be about just short of 125K, but this is still just a sub pattern after breaking out of this huge cup and handle pattern here on this weekly time frame. Let's just zoom out for a second. This is what I'm talking about here, right? 145K price target. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more or less, right? But I do think that on a macro level, looking at the S&P 500, looking at a Fed rate cut that's very possible in September. According to the Fed Watch tool, CME Fed Watch tool, I think it's putting it at about, let's go check it right now. Last time I checked it, which was earlier today, is above 90%. So something to be thinking about, right? I think that's going to feel quite a bit of retail interest because of low interest rates. Now, let's also explore this daily time frame a little bit further. Yesterday I talked about a potential double bottom pattern if this price action was to come back around to about 112K. That double bottom scenario looking less likely at the moment. It looks like it's trying to make a higher high right now on this daily time frame. Since this bottom right here at about 112, right? Because we have a higher low as of yesterday's daily candle close. So if you hold a higher low, the next logical move is a higher high. The next resistance I'm looking at here would be about 117K, which is the daily 21 SMA. That's moving down a little slowly. But if it breaks out of this pattern, very good for the crypto markets as a whole. Let's just come back here to Total 3 real quick. Very important chart right now as well because I just want to point out to you guys that, Total 3, which is altcoin market excluding Ethereum, it's still trying to break out of its 2021 highs here. This is the monthly time frame. So this is why I think this bull cycle hasn't even started, right? This looks like a huge cup and handle pattern with the resistance to be about 1.15 trillion, right? I talked about the daily time frame here, very important for Total 3, which is the entire altcoin market excluding Ethereum, to hold above $960 billion because that was the resistance for a cup and handle pattern, which I invalidated because there was a break back into the pattern. But that is still fine because it's still above the resistance, the previous resistance at $960 billion. So this is why it's also very important to be paying attention to the altcoin charts, especially if Bitcoin is looking more bullish, right? If you come a couple of days earlier, then we're just going to be talking about Bitcoin because Bitcoin was looking more uncertain, but right now Bitcoin looking a little bit more certain. It's time to explore some of the altcoins here. Let's go ahead and go to the next some altcoins here now. I know that that's what you guys are here for, but very important to know Bitcoin as well. We're gonna be talking about Stronghold, right? Stronghold first, which is a smaller altcoin. You guys should definitely know that these smaller altcoins come with high volatility, higher volatility, right? There's gonna be major upside, but also major downside. I've seen some of these coins go down 30-50% in a day, right? I mean, no, in a week. Okay, maybe in a day that's still possible. I've seen it. I've held some of it. But it's fine as long as we still have room to run in this bull cycle. Just got to make sure to take profits when it's time. Now, I talked about a Stronghold last time. What's going on with Stronghold here? Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. It had a huge weekly candle, right? Going from about 1.45 cents all the way up to about almost 3 cents there before getting a rejection, all the way back down to about 1.9 cents almost. Now it's trying to hold above this previous resistance here at about 2 cents there, right? As you guys can see, we had two weekly candles getting rejected at about 2 cents. Trying to hold above that right now. Last time I pointed out on Stronghold SHX USD, there was a falling wedge pattern. Like I said, falling wedge pattern, and it broke out of here, right? Which it usually does. It broke out of here not too long ago. Price target for this breakout here, just smaller time frame, so smaller breakout. It's gonna give Stronghold about. I'm gonna wait for my chart to load here. It's gonna give Stronghold about a price target of about 2.5 cents, right? So let's see if it's actually able to reach that price level. Now, if it does reach that price level and if it consolidates at that level, I would come back here and rechart the chart the consolidation pattern and see if it's looking more likely it's gonna continue upwards or is it gonna pull back from there, right? So that's basically what I'm seeing for Stronghold. If it actually comes back here to retest that, that previous high of about 2.9 cents, it could potentially form a small cup and handle here on this daily time frame. But that's just a hypothetical. That's just my guess right now. It's not a formed cup and handle because it looks like there's still a kind of a higher high, higher low, rounded bottom trajectory, but still too early to say. All right, next piece. Let's go to Hyperlane and see what's going on in these altcoins. Hyperlane daily time frame. This looks like a rising channel on the daily time frame, right? I don't have three exact touching uh candles on the upper trend line, but I think it's close enough. That's just my opinion. Now, rising channels work in the opposite way of the falling channels, right? It usually breaks to the downside. Now, if Hyperlane, which is Hyper USDT, if this actually breaks down, technical analysis says the breakdown target would be about 3.7 cents. Now, there is a time to believe in technical analysis, and there is a time to doubt technical analysis, such as when we are in a bull cycle and you're getting some of these crazy breakdown targets. Now I am a big believer of technical analysis because I think when used correctly, it can give you a huge edge in trading more profitably. But this is one of those times where I doubt technical analysis when it gives me a huge breakdown target in what I believe to be a bull cycle. But I'm just gonna keep this here and let's see how true it becomes. Right, a breakdown target of almost about a 90% breakdown. So let's see if that is true, right? However, I am also seeing a smaller I also want to mention there's quite a bit of support underneath this rising channel pattern. However, there's also a falling wedge pattern on this within this rising channel, and let's see if Hyperlane actually breaks out of this um, falling wedge. Right, price target for this one, if it breaks out by this point, it's going to be about 56 cents. Okay, so let's see which way actually works out. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next. Let's go to the next piece here, which is gonna be COTI, currency of the internet. Let's see what has happened in COTI since the last time we've talked about it. All right, since the last time we talked about COTI, there was still a falling wedge pattern on this weekly time frame. Like I said, it's a secret pattern that you guys should definitely pay attention to. If it breaks out by this point, this is the weekly time frame. Okay, huge pattern. If it breaks out by this point, price target for COTI will be about 30 cents right above there. It usually breaks out, like I said, but if it breaks down, then we can come back here and update the charts because there's still a smaller chance it breaks down. Now it is trying to break above the weekly 21 SMA at about 6 cents there. And on a smaller time frame, let's zoom in and see if I can get any more clarity on what could be happening. Daily time frame. Okay, so it looks like there's a falling wedge pattern, a smaller one that's probably more noticeable on a smaller time frame. 4 hour. Okay, 4 hour COTI. If it breaks out of this pattern here to the upside, the price target would be, let's just say if it breaks out by this point, just for example, price target would be about 6.6 cents for COTI if it breaks out of here. So there you have it. That is the COTI on the higher time frame down to a smaller time frame. Now, let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of these altcoins, or let me know if you guys want to continue or see any other altcoins. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.